Hello and welcome to the video lecture series on computer communication networks. So we were discussing the concepts from module 3, that is network layer. So this is the fourth video on the concepts from the network layer. Hello friends, this is Abhilash KJ, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. Will guide you guys through the session. For more video contents on computer communication network, you can visit my YouTube channel. In the last video, we discussed the concept of IPv4 addresses, wherein we considered the address space and the classful addressing scheme. So next we shall consider one of the important parameter that is used at the network layer to route the packets or to forward the packets. One entity which shall help is called as IP. So the next class of IPv4 addresses is referred as the classless addressing. The subnetting and supernetting solutions to the address depletion for classful address, even though proved effective, but not in the large scale. It was not a completely perfect solution for the address depletion problem. So as the internet growth happened over the decade, the requirement for larger address space was required as a long-term solution. So apart from existing IPv4, to have a larger address space, there was a requirement in terms of the length of the address. So if one want to increase the length of the address, means a new format of IP was required, which was referred as IPv6. At the same time, since IPv6 concept was in the development stage, there was a short-term solution that was required, which will make use of same IPv4 address space, but instead it will make use of the different distribution scheme of addresses, which shall ensure the fair share to each individual organizations. So as the problem we mentioned in classful addressing, the larger organizations were benefited in terms of the number of addresses that is given, that is in class A as well as in class B to some extent. The smaller organization on the other side were not given the fair share of the addresses. So there was a need for a short-term solution which will make use of the same address space of IPv4, but to have a different distribution scheme for addresses, such that which will provide a fair share of addresses to each of the organizations. So one of such short-term solution which is proposed for IPv4 is referred as the classless addressing. So as the name itself indicates, the term classless here means the address space is not divided in terms of classes. At the same time, the removal of the class concept or the class privilege, which shall compensate for the address depletion problem that was occurring in the classful addressing. At the same time, in order to have the concept of classless, one more concept that motivated the birth of the classless addressing concept was the concept of internet service providers, that is ISPs. So ISP is an organization which shall provide the internet access for individuals, might be for small businesses or mid-sized organizations, which does not want to create an internet site to provide or to offer the variant services such as emails, file transfer, and other range of other kind of services to its employees. So the ISP made sure that these services were provided. So usually the ISP granted a different range of addresses, and the addresses that is granted to a ISP is then subdivided into the different blocks in terms of group of one address or two addresses and multiples of the two same. So these range of addresses are given to an individual or to an household or to any small business. So ISP was acting as intermediate between the entire address space and with respect to the small household users or individuals or the small businesses. So these individual customers or the small businesses may connect to an ISP by making use of digital subscriber line, that is DSL, or by making use of cable modem, uh, or they can make use of dial-up models. At the same time, does not having internet site will not conclude of the fact that the host are deprived of IP addresses. Yet, ISP provided IP addresses for individual users. So in 1996, the Internet authorities proposed the new architecture which is referred as classless addressing, wherein the classless addresses defines a block of addresses with the variable length which does not belong to any particular class. That means one can have a block of single address or two addresses, four addresses or 128 addresses and so on. That means upon the wishes of the individual, the block of addresses are given to the particular organization or individual or any household. So because of this particular scenario, the smaller organizations or an household connection could afford having actual requirement of their IP addresses fulfilled. So in classless addressing, the whole address space is divided into the variable length blocks. Since we don't have the concept of classes, the size of the network may vary with respect to the individual needs, and the length of the suffix is varied with respect to the individual needs. So the prefix in an address as before will define the network, that is block. Here block means it is a network, and the suffix in the address will define a node or a device, that is a connection to the internet. So theoretically that means one can have, since the length of the IP address is 32 bits, it starts with a block of one address, a block of two address and block of four address, which is a power of 2. Thus this particular concept of the classless addressing provided freedom for an user or a household or an individual to choose any block which which will have the required number of IP addresses. If an household who want to have just one IP address, he can choose a block of 2 power 0. That is one IP address is given to him. So all these addresses here, I have total combination of 2 power 0 to 2 power 32. That is a total length. One can have the entire network, that is 2 power 32 IP addresses for himself. So though we say that the block size is this, so total number of, one of the restrictions that is followed in the classless addressing is that the total number of addresses that are present in the block has to be a power of 2. That is why we have made these restrictions here. So a block can have the number of addresses which is equal to the power of 2. So any organization which requires or which places a request for the number of addresses, will be allotted a block of address, not an individual address. So this illustrates how exactly the different blocks are assigned or distributed to the different organizations in non-overlapping block manner. So this particular block, which is of the variable length, is given to a first user. Second user request for this particular length of block 2. Similarly, it goes on this. One necessary condition is that the size of the block has to be power of 2 and they have to be in the non-overlapping manner. I cannot have address from the address space of one block could be shared with address space of another. Here, because we are making use of the concept of the assigning the IP address in terms of blocks, unlike the classful addressing, the prefix length, which defines the number of networks, could be a variable one. If you can recollect things, in classful addressing, we had fixed length of prefixes. Class A had 8 bits, class B had 16 bits, class C had 24 bits. But in this case, the classless addressing, the prefix length could be a variable one. So thus, the prefix length can vary from 0 to 32. That is, network address length can vary, number of networks can vary from 0 to 32. This one interesting fact we have to relate it here, which we have already spoken, but still once again we'll revisit that concept. The length of the prefix is inversely proportional to size of the network. To elaborate, if the length of the prefix is longer, then I have a smaller network. In case I have a smaller prefix, that is length of the prefix is shorter, on that note I have a larger network. Now we can relate this thing with class A, class B, class C or so on. In class A, the prefix length was 8-bit. So subsequently we had less number of networks. In class B, the length of the prefix was more, that is greater than that of class A. That means it afforded a large number of networks. So that clearly means the prefix length is smaller, that means the network size is bigger. In case the prefix length is longer, that means it is a smaller network that has a limited set of users. So next we shall emphasize the concept of, we can relate classless addressing and classful addressing in this note. We can say classful addressing is a special case of classless addressing. In classful, the prefix length was fixed. So n is equal to 8 is one of the condition in classless addressing. Instead of calling it as class A, we called it as classless addressing with the prefix length n is equal to 8. So let us look into the concept of how exactly, now that we have mentioned the prefix length is variable one, how can one is an individual can identify to which network it is belonging and what is the length of the prefix on that node, because any network, any user want information to minimum information have to be extracted out of an IP address. First is to which network it is belonging, that is extracted by prefix, and what is the connection ID or the identifier of the connection, that is suffix, that is IP address, or that is a address, specific address of a user in that particular network. Thus, the classless in the classful addressing, the prefix length was fixed, that is n is equal to 8, n is equal to 16, n is equal to 24. So n is equal to 8 means that is a part which is defining the network. So we had clarity in classful addressing regarding to identify the network part. But since we are using variable length of prefix in classless addressing, we need to have a parameter which is called as prefix length, denoted by n, which is added to the existing address, which will define the length of the prefix, is separated by the actual IP address followed by the /n. So this kind of address is referred as the classless interdomain routing, or CIDR. So for example, if this is the actual IP address we are having, so once the address is over, then we have /n, where n indicates the length of the prefix in the classless addressing scheme. So an address in classless addressing will not define the block or the network to which it belongs. So for that, we need to have the prefix length. If the prefix length is not provided, one cannot identify or find out to which block it is belonging or to which network it is belonging. So the must and should information that has to be part of a classless addressing is the prefix length, that is n. So the next question comes, how one can extract information from an address. For example, if any address is given from a block, an individual need to know three major information about that particular block. That is, the number of addresses that are present in that particular block, the first address of the block, and the last address of the block. So only these three informations will give me the complete picture of the network. First one is the number of addresses in the block, the first address of the block, and the last address of the block. But when an IP address is given, we will be given only single value. That is, we will be having an IP address followed by the length of the prefix, that is /n. So on that note, to calculate each of this, that is the number of addresses, first address, and the last address, we shall make use of following steps. So they have given the prefix length, that is n. The number of addresses in the block could be found by n is equal to 2 power 32 minus n. So this n indicates the prefix length. So 32 minus n means the number of users or the number of IP addresses that are allocated. So n will give me the prefix length, that is the network ID. So 32 minus n is nothing but the user ID part, that is suffix part. So the number of addresses in that particular block is identified by 2 power 32 minus 1. Once this address is known, in my 32-bit address now, n bits are prefix and 32 minus n bits are suffix. So in order to know the first address, that is a starting address of the block, we need to assign n leftmost bits are kept as it is. I will not change the n leftmost bits, that is prefix is kept as it is. And the 32 minus n, that is suffix, are set to value of 0. That is n leftmost bits, which are prefix, are kept as it is, and 32 minus n rightmost bits are set to 0. So that will be the first address of the given block. And to find the last address, the reverse operation of whatever we have done in the second step will be performed, wherein once again we'll keep the n leftmost bits as it is, that is prefix is set as it is, and the suffix part, which is 32 minus n rightmost bits, are set to 1. That will give me the final address. So this is how one can extract the number of addresses, first address and the last address from any address that is given under classless addressing. So what we need, basically we need the prefix length and the IP address. So this is how it could be illustrated. In the given address, first n bits are nothing but your prefix, which will give the number of networks that are present, and next 32 minus n bits will give me the suffix, that is nothing but number of addresses, that is number of devices or number of IP addresses within a single network. So this is illustrated here as, this will give me the total number of addresses in the block. In order to find out the first address, the prefix is kept as it is, which is of n bits. 32 minus n bits, that is rightmost 32 minus n bits, are set to 0. So this will be the first address of that particular block. So to find out the last address, the prefix is kept as it is, and 32 minus n rightmost bits are set to 1. This will calculate the last address. This is how in classless addressing one can find out the number of addresses, first address and the last address. So next technique to extract the information about an address is by making use of address mask. One method we have already discussed. The second method of calculating or second method of computing or extracting information about address block by making use of a single address is the concept of address mask. So how exactly it is been done? So first, initially we have to define a mask, which is a 32-bit number in which n leftmost bits are set to 1 and the rest of the bits are set to 0. So here this n value is nothing but the prefix length. So all the bits in the prefix are set to 1 and the rest of the bits, that is 32 minus n bits, are set to 0. This is the mask for any of the address that is been given. Next, since the method we considered earlier was a pretty much manual computation part, it might be difficult to implement it in the software, as most of the operations in the computer networks in internet, the computer will make the decision regarding the issues related to the network layer or any other particular layer. If you could perform some of the logical operations and arithmetical operation in such a way that computer can automatically find the address mask, since it is a complement of n is equal to 2 power 32 minus n minus 1. So why exactly are we defining the mask? Because it is easier to have a computer program which shall do the extract all the information regarding the block of addresses that is being given. So we shall make use of 3 bitwise operation, that is not and or operation. The same 3 informations are extracted here also, that is number of addresses, first address and the last address. The sequence goes like this. The number of addresses in the block could be find out by n is equal to naught of the mask. First one have to find out the mask and perform the bitwise not operation on the mask and add +1 to it. Secondly, to find out the first address in the block, one shall consider any address in that particular block and that is bitwise ANDed with the mask. And to have the last address, the same operation is used. Instead of the mask, we shall make use of the not mask variable followed by the OR operation with any of the address. So let us illustrate an example to understand this particular concept, that is both the methods, one by making use of regular calculation and second by making use of the address masks. So this is the classless address that is being given. As we can clearly see, the must part is this, that is /n CIDR representation notation. So here one information you could extract is, this is the IP address that is given and the prefix length is equal to 27, that is n is equal to 27. Once this is known, the first method we shall do, we'll calculate the number of addresses here by this expression, that is n is equal to 2 power 32 minus n, that is length of the prefix. Since it is 27 here, we have 2 power 5, that is 32 address. So this particular IP address belongs to the block of addresses wherein the total number of address in that particular block is 37. Next, we have to find out the first address. In order to find out the first address, the 27 bits, leftmost 27 bits are kept as it is. Rest of the bits, that is 32 minus 27, that is 5 bits, are made 0. That means if I represent this IP address in binary, this is how we look into it. So the portion which is in the white color indicates the prefix, that is 27 bits. So this is kept as it is. So I have not given the binary representation of this. You could write it down and cross verify this. Once that is done, the 27 bits are kept as it is. The last 5 bits, that is rightmost 5 bits, are set to 0. So this will give me the first IP address of the block. As we can clearly see, 167.199.170, these bits are kept as it is. Then we have 64 bar 27. So this 64 is the first IP address of this particular block with n is equal to 27. So to find out the last address, all we need to do is replace last 32 minus n bits by ones. So instead of 5 zeros, we have to have 5 ones. On that note, the last IP address in the block is 167.199.170.95. So this is the last IP address in the classless address that is given. Let us consider the second method, the mask. First we shall calculate the mask with respect to this. In order to calculate the mask, all we need to do is take the complement operation of the same. So the mask could be calculated by setting the n leftmost bits to 1 and 32 minus n bits to 0. So that means all these 27 bits are set to 1 and all this 32 minus 27, that is 5 bits, are set to 0. On that note, this is the dotted decimal notation of the IP address you will be getting. So this is left as a task as it involves a simple decimal to binary conversion. Once that is done, I am converting this to base 256. So this is the mask we have got out of the IP address that is been given. So according to the step that is been processed, the first step is to find out the number of addresses in the block, which could be find out by the knot of the mask, bitwise knot of the mask plus 1. So if you perform bitwise knot to this, so this is the value you shall get. So the total addresses that are present in the network are 32. This is the same answer we have got earlier. In the second step, to find out the first address, the given address is bitwise ANDed with a mask. So this is left as once again as practice. You could refer the calculators, or you could do it manually to find out a transition between binary to decimal and decimal to binary. So this is the first address, and if you could relate, you have got the same address as that of the earlier case. And the last address is this particular case here, in which you have got 167.199.170.255. So here we could conclude saying that one can calculate any of the addresses by making use of either method 1 and method 2. Both of the cases have given the number of addresses same, but the last two bits are different. Here we got 64 and 95. Here it is started with 82 only and it extends until 255. So there are total of 32 addresses that are present in this case. Even though in classless address, any given address, it is difficult to identify the to which block the address belongs to, which depends on the prefix length. If the prefix length varies, the same IP address may belong to some other block also. So this is the case. So from these concepts which you have considered till now, next we shall consider the network address. So if any address is given, how one can find out all the information about the block. The first address, the network address, is pretty much important because the source has to take decision regarding the path in which the data has to be forwarded. At the same time, uh, router is put into task to find out the routing information as well as the forwarding decisions. So that is why to know the network address is one of the key feature that has to be considered. So here if we consider a network which has uh, in an internet which is made of m number of networks, the internet has m number of networks and it has m number of interfaces. Whenever a packet arrives at a router from any of the source host, the router need to know the network ID or the network address from which the packet is coming, and at the same time it has to decide to which particular network the packet has to be forwarded to, or at the same time on which interface the packet has to be sent out. So at the same time, in the receiver part, when the packet is received, it has to reach the destination by making use of the another strategy. So here, this entire operation could be summarized by this situation, wherein I have considered three networks or m number of networks are considered. So in this case, a router has m number of interfaces. It has to find out, in order to route the information, it has to know the destination address. So in order to calculate the destination address, it consults the operation of find the network address, which is a routing process. So once this operation is initiated, the router shall consult the forwarding table to find the matching entry. If the address is this is the output interface on which the data has to be forwarded. If this is the case, this is the output interface on which the data has to be forwarded. So this is how the routing process is accomplished at the router. So as soon as one of the network sends a packet, it will go for the routing process which shall find for a given destination IP address what is the output interface on which data has to be forwarded. So thus the network address is usually an identifier or an identity of a network. So thus each network is defined or recognized by the network address. Next we shall consider how exactly the addresses are distributed in terms of the block allocation. So the ultimate responsibility of and ultimate question that is raised in classless addressing is, since the block size is not fixed and the network size is not fixed, how exactly one can distinguish and distribute the IP addresses? So to answer this question, the responsibility of the block allocation is assigned to a global authority which is referred as Internet Corporation for Assigned Names as well as Numbers, which is called as ICANN. Many of the cases ICANN will not directly assign the addresses. Instead, it assigns a large block of addresses to the ISPs, that is Internet Service Providers. These ISPs will in turn assign the addresses to the intermediate subsidiaries, that is in terms of individual households or the organizations. So to have the proper operation in terms of CIDR, that is classless interdomain routing, there are two restrictions that has to be applied while allocating any address block. First one is the number of the request addresses, that is n, has to be power of 2. Why exactly are we going for this limitation is that n number of addresses is equal to 2 power 32 minus 1. This is the expression we had considered earlier. If we could rearrange this, the requested number of addresses is nothing but direct function of the length of the prefix. So which is given by n is equal to 32 minus log 2 n. If n is not power of 2, that is number of addresses requested is not power of 2, we cannot have an integer value of n. So because of that situation or that restriction, the number of requested addresses has to be power of 2. If it is not power of 2, the ISPs or ICANN assigns the blocks which are power of 2 only, that is 2 power 0, 2 power 1, so on until 2 power 32. The second restriction is the requested block need to be allocated where there is an adequate number of contiguous addresses available in the address space. So if a block of address has to be allocated, then addresses in that particular block has to be continuous in nature. We cannot have two addresses here, then we have the address belonging to some other organization. After that, once again I'll assign 3 or 4 addresses to the requested case. Could not be the case. So whenever the address assignment is done, it has to be continuous in nature. One entire range of IP addresses are assigned for a requested individual. So these two limitations or restrictions could be put forward in this particular relation. The first address is represented in terms of the prefix in the decimal. If we represent the IP address in the decimal format, only we extract the prefix part out of it, and that is multiplied by 2 power 32 minus 1, which will let us know what is the first IP address of the block. Or we shall have, since we know that 2 power 32 minus n is nothing but the number of addresses in the block, prefix in decimal could be multiplied by capital N also. For example, if ISP has requested for a block of 1000 addresses, 1000 is not divisible by n. So according to this restriction, the number of addresses, that is n, has to be divisible by 2, or it is power of 2. So when it is to have a block of 1000 addresses, the nearest power of 2 is 1024 addresses. When an organization makes a request for 1000 addresses, instead of 1000, we will be allocating 1024 addresses. So if you calculate the prefix length in this case by making use of the second relation, that is n is equal to 32 minus log 2 minus n, which will give the length in terms of 22. So to have any given address with 1000 or more addresses, that is, we have allocated 1024 addresses with the prefix length of 22. So it is granted to an ISP. One can see that the first address in the decimal has to be divisible by the number of addresses in the group. Once again, to have the flexibility, the concept of hierarchy is followed here. Let us look into this example. The ISP has requested for 1000 addresses. As 1000 is not a power of 2, it is divisible by 2, but it is not power of 2. The power of 2 will yield us 1024 addresses. Thus, an ISP will grant 1024 addresses, wherein the prefix length is calculated as n is equal to 32 minus log 2 1024. That is, 22 is the prefix length. To find out, for example, if we have an available block, this is the IP address, slash n is nothing but 22 is granted to the individual ISP. So one can cross verify the second restriction here. The first address in the decimal format, if this is the first address, if it is translated into decimal format, this is the number we have got. This number is completely divisible by the total number of addresses in the block, that is 1024. To have a next level of flexibility in terms of having hierarchy, the concept of subnetting is also used here. The more number of levels will give more number of freedom on user part to make efficient use of the available address space. And this is, once again, the term subnetting is dividing the existing network into the subnetworks. So once again, an organization which has been granted with a larger range of addresses shall divide the available address space into the smaller subranges, and each subrange is assigned to a subnetwork, which is called as subnet. So as quoted, subnet once again further could be divided into sub-subnetworks, and it goes on. So this concept is called as the subnetting. So the designing of a sub networks has to be done in a careful manner, as if we perform more and more networks, if we divide the network into more and more sub networks, we may face difficulties in the level of the routing of packets. So for example, let us assume that there are total number of addresses that are granted to any organization is capital letter N, then, and with a prefix length of lowercase n, if we have considered the number of addresses that has to be given to a subnetwork is n subscript sub, and then the prefix length has to be once again changed, that is n sub. So the steps has to be taken to properly design the subnet. The first restriction is that the number of addresses in each of the network should be power of 2. So the total number of, which is the same restriction which we have followed earlier, in the subnet also we carry forward the same restriction, we extend the same restriction. The number of addresses that are present in an subnetwork has to be the power of 2. Second, the prefix length for each of the subnetwork has to be found out by making use of this relation. So n sub is equal to 32 minus log 2 of n sub. So this is with respect to the subnetwork. And finally, the starting address in the each network has to be divisible by total number of addresses in the subnetwork. This is the same extension, same restrictions we had earlier, but it is extended to the subnetwork concept also. So one more challenge in classless addressing now is how to find out the information related to the each of the subnetwork. So once the designing of subnetwork is over, we have information regarding the n sub, that is capital N sub, which will give me the number of networks, and which will give me the number of addresses, and we have lowercase n sub which will give me the number of networks. So dependent on that, one can identify the starting and the last address at the same time, any information related to the given block. So let us consider an example to understand how exactly the subnets are created. So they have considered an organization which has been granted with a block of addresses with this is the first address of the block, and this address has to be the granted or allocated block of addresses has to be divided into three subcategories, in which that clearly means I have one large network that has to be further divided into three sub blocks. That means three subnet has to be created, in which one subnet has 10 addresses, second subnet has 60 addresses, and final sub block has 120 addresses. So they have asked us to find out the sub blocks. We have to design the sub blocks. So first we shall consider the first case. So they have clearly mentioned the prefix length as 24. That means the suffix length is equal to 2 power 32 minus 24. That is, we shall get 2 power 8. That is 256 addresses that are present in the block. So we have calculated capital letter N. That is number of addresses in the given block. And they have mentioned the first address is this. So this is the first address. Once this is known, we have to calculate the final address. So since the block has 256 addresses, first address was 0. If I add the total number of address, that is 256, my last address will be 24.255 bar 24. So from 0 to 255, it is total 256 addresses in the block. So to satisfy the third requirement, if we can assign the addresses which has to be started with the largest value and which has to end with the smallest value. So this is the basic information that we have extracted out of the given address. So dependent on the prefix length, we calculate the first address and we calculate the number of addresses in the block. So in the given problem, they have asked us to find out three subblocks with 10 addresses, 60 addresses and 120 addresses. So thus we start with the maximum addresses, that is a subblock of 120 addresses. So the number of addresses in the largest subblock, they have quoted that it is 120. Since 120 is not a power of 2, the ISP or any intermediate organization shall allocate 128 address. Here 128 is power of 2. Thus the subnet mask has to be find out now. I have to calculate n1 value. So here n1 is equal to 32 minus log 2 of 128. Since the block size is 128 here, this is nothing but capital N sub, that is size of the number of addresses that are present in the subnetwork. So that gives me a new prefix length of 25. So the first address in this particular block is 14.24.74.0/25. Now it is no more 24 but it will be 25. Since it has total 128 addresses, the last address will be 14.24.74.127/25. So this is one block with the 120 addresses they had requested. Since 120 is not a power of 2, we have allocated 128 addresses. The second scenario is a subblock with 60 addresses. Once again, 60 is not a power of 2, thus we shall allocate 64 addresses. So the last address, since these address allocation in the subblocks has to be the contiguous one, so I have allocated 256 addresses in the single stretch. So my next address has to start from 14.24.74.128. So this is the first address. So the mask, once again the subnet mask found with the length of the prefix length of 26. So if we add 64 to this, we shall get 191 address, the value of 191 with a mask length of 26. And finally we consider the smallest of this, that is the block of 10. Once again 2 is not a power of 10 is not a power of 2, we shall allocate 16 addresses. In this case, n3 value is equal to 22. That is mask, the subnet mask is of the length 28. This is the first address. After 191, my next address is 192. So from 192 to 16, that is you are getting 207. So this is how the allocation has been done. So it is not that all the addresses are used in this case. So total we have a requirement in terms of given requirements, we had 190 addresses, but dependent on the requirements or restrictions, the total addresses one has allocated is 208 addresses. In that case, since the requirement was only for 120 plus 60, that is 180 plus 10, we got total of 190 addresses. Around 48 addresses are not used, that are left in the reserve. So n is equal to 25. There are total 128 addresses with which will start with this IP and which will end with 190. Sorry, which will end with 127 extension here. My second block will start with n is equal to 26, that is subnet mask, number of addresses being 64. This is the first address, and finally we have the last block with the mask length of 16, the subnet mask length of 16, and the number of addresses as 28. And there are around 48 addresses which are not used. This is the extra addresses that is been given. If you can look into this, 120 addresses were required. We gave only the 8 addresses extra. That means here I have 8 addresses extra. Here I have 4 addresses extra. Here I have 6 addresses extra. So if I look into this and calculate the number of addresses free, so total number of unused addresses are n is equal to 48. Next, we shall consider one of the important concepts under classless addressing is in terms of address aggregation. So, making use of CLDR strategy, that is classless interdomain routing strategy, will offer the address aggregation schemes, or sometimes called as address summarization or route summarization. Whenever we have block of addresses that are commonly combined into the larger block, in that case routing could be done based on the prefix that is present in the larger block. The ICANN assigns the larger block addresses to an ISP, and ISP in turn divides the given block into the smaller subblocks, and these subblocks are given to the customers. So let us look into that. So this particular diagram shows 4 small blocks of addresses that are combined, that belongs to the 4 organizations under an ISP. So the ISP combines all these smaller blocks into a one larger block, and it will advertise this particular information to the world as a single larger block. So now it is a responsibility of ISP to forward the packet to the appropriate organization dependent on the IP packet that is being received. So finally, under classless addressing, we have one more class or one more concept which is referred as the special classes. So there are around 5 special addresses that are used in IPv4 under classless addressing scheme. The first one is this host address. So this is represented by 0.0.32. This particular address we are looking at gives an hint on, or this is the address, special address, which is called as this host address. This is usually used in the situation whenever the host want to send an IP datagram, but it is not sure of its own address. So on that note, this IP address is sent. The packet with this IP address is sent, which will help the source to know its IP address. Second is the limited broadcast address. So this is a single address in the block 255.255.255.255/32. That is prefix length is 32. This is a single address. Since all the 32 bits are occupied, we have a single network and a single address. So in this case, it is referred as limited broadcast address because whenever a router or a host need to send a packet or a datagram to all the networks or all the devices in a network, this particular IP address is used. Whenever the packet is sent with this particular destination address, that clearly means it is a broadcast message, and that message is sent to all the devices in that network, but the packet will not travel outside the network. So thus limited broadcast address is this. Whenever the transmission is done for this kind of IP addresses, the IP address, the packets are sent to all the devices in the network. And it has a limitation. The packet will not travel outside the existing network in which the packet was generated. Next we have loopback address. This particular block started with this address and the prefix length, that is 127.0.0.0/8, which is called as a loopback address. In this case, it is a packet which has one of this address in this particular block as a destination address. That means the host as well as the destination are within the same block itself. So usually when this particular IP address is used, the packet with this kind of address will never leave the host. That means the packet is assumed to be having this particular address as the IP address, but the packet will not leave the generating host in this case. It will remain with respect to the host. So this is specifically used in special applications wherein somebody is testing a piece of software in a machine, some manipulation is done, or some communication has to be cross-verified for its functionality. On that note, whenever we are implementing a software, so in that note, the transmission and reception part has to be illustrated. On that case, this loopback address is used. Then we have the private addresses. There are 4 blocks of private addresses which are used. Uh, so we shall discuss in detail with respect to the private addresses when we discuss more about the network address translation part. So these are the four blocks uh, which are assigned as the private addresses. Then we have the last special addresses, that is called as multicast address. So this particular block of addresses starting off with 22.0.0.0/4, which is reserved for the multicast addresses. Let us review the concepts of this particular video. We considered the second category or second mechanism in IPv4 addressing, that is classless addressing. So in the video lecture coming up next, we shall consider the concept of dynamic host configuration protocol and the IP packet forwarding. All these presentation templates are referred and downloaded from the Slides Carnival website, so which provides the customized and free templates for all of the presentation needs. So the link is provided in the description. I hope you like this particular video. If you have liked, please like the video, share among your friends, and subscribe to my channel for further updates on computer communication networks. Thank you so much.